administration. A Texas death row inmate, Charles Victor Thompson, 55, was executed by lethal injection on Wednesday, January 28th, for the 1998 murder of 39-year-old Denise Hayslip and her boyfriend, 31-year-old Darren Kane. Thompson's execution is the first to be carried out in the U.S. this year, if you don't count Renee Good and Alex Preddy. Florida Congressman Vern Buchanan recently announced he will not be seeking re-election as the Republican Party continues to struggle with maintaining a slim House majority. The 16th district that Buchanan represents is solidly red and is considered a safe district for Republicans and pedophile protectors. The Ecuadorian Foreign Affairs Ministry said an ICE agent tried to enter the country's consulate in Minneapolis on Tuesday in pursuit of two people but was blocked by its staff. The Ecuadorian consulate is considered foreign soil. Taking those two people from the consulate would be like going to Venezuela and kidnapping... never mind. Kim Kyon-hee, the wife of South Korea's ousted President Yoon Suk-yeol, was sentenced on Wednesday to 20 months in prison for corruption, as her husband awaits a verdict on a high-stakes rebellion charge that could result in the death penalty or life imprisonment. Getting the death penalty would really suit for Yule. This has been the Dr. Reverend Jolie Rowe with headlines and punchlines for January 29th, 2026, the 374th day of the Sex Offender Administration. Join me live at the Church of Last Resort Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on MindDog TV.
The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host or guest and should not be interpreted as statement.
I think we got to get a legit news.
Independent fact-checking and corrections are encouraged.
Inappropriate.
We got a cup of coffee in here, please.
How do we get to 0? That's better. Get ready for some button-pushing fun.
Damn good coffee and hot.
My dog is your mind's best friend.
Little dog there.
My dog is your mind's best friend.
Wake up, America. You've got a dog that needs walking. That's right, sunshine. Just put on a big pot of strong coffee and get ready to type your little hate mail with your opinions about kumbaya and flat earth insanity. Stand-up comedy? You want stand-up comedy? Well, we've got sit-down comedy. It's time for Coffee with a Dog. You make me laugh.
Make me laugh. What's that one all about? Come on, man. Man is looking for an overtime check, like a snowplow driver. Good morning, folks. It is Thursday, officially trash day here on Long Island, New York. Thursday, January 29th, 2026. Today we are going to talk to an author who has written about he's written about Chicago a lot and race relations within the city of Chicago. But in particular, we're going to be talking about his third book today, which centers on the time between the Summer of Love and 1969, when things were out of hand in America, not just Chicago. But we'll be happy to talk about Chicago. Last night on the program, I had an author who has written about Charles Manson. We were talking about the 60s in Los Angeles and San Francisco, but Detroit, all over, America was really torn apart. And one of the observations I made is that people talk about how difficult times are in America right now and the stress that we're feeling right now. And people will say, well, we've never gone through anything like this before. I think today and last night we found out that certainly we have gone through something like this before. Maybe not quite the same, but like this. And today we're going to reinforce that message with our guest, Frank S. Joseph, who is author, as I say, of 3 books. And we're going to get to him in just one moment. He's kind enough to get here a little bit early. But first, we have to say hello to some of these sponsors here and sell some stuff. And because that's what we're doing here. I mean, obviously it pays the bills. I'm sorry to do this to you folks, but we have to pay the bills here. So here's a ice, not ice, but ice, which is a paraphernalia company. If you're so inclined to try to escape what's going on in the world, like I am, ice might help you out here. Say, guys, ladies and gentlemen, in the room with me now is a man who would never endorse a product like ice unless he's doing it right now. GD Fenderson. Good morning, GD.
Good morning, America. MindDogTV.com. What am I doing? If
yeah.
you're one of the lucky ones still digging out from last week's snow, you can binge watch all 119 episodes of The Church of Last Resort. That's 119 hours of programming, or you can just watch the funny parts and be done in 1 hour.
Yeah.
Go to minddogtv.com/merch for all the stuff that you don't need but ought to have, like more snow. Support your local mercenaries and enjoy the suffering.
Well, we might not
support your local plow drivers. They need love too.
Dead air. You notice that dead air because I'm exasperated with the snowplow people. And
I know you are. I feel
well,
your pain.
Speaking of inappropriate jokes, and that was definitely an inappropriate joke. You need to have a talk with the Rev. I mean, making fun of there's no.
Well,
listen,
okay, go ahead.
Murder is not funny.
Who said murder was funny? Murder's not funny.
Oh,
Dying by murder.
If you're not counting, yeah, right. That's an inappropriate. The censors called immediately. They said, "Come on, wait, what are you doing with these execution jokes? This is not funny."
I'm just trying to remind people of what's going on out there. That's all.
Well, what's going on out there?
You can't blame the Reverend. Okay, I wrote it. Okay, I do the writing. Let's not make this.
All right. So don't write that joke.
The Reverend is not clever enough to do any writing. Okay, right. That's me. I do the writing. Wow. He does the reading. I can't read. He can't write. Okay.
I need a Charles McCoy. Somebody to just read the news and not like try to make fun of people who were brutally murdered.
Look, if you hadn't fired the last 2 people who did the news for you, we wouldn't be in this situation.
You made me fire one of them, first of all. That's what
no, I didn't. That AI guy, I did not make you fire him. He was just not pronouncing words correctly. The news was always 3 days
and
old.
Also he wanted to get paid, which is really that's crossing the line, wanting to get paid.
And he was giving news that was like 3 days old. And so we talk about it 3 days ago, then he brings it back up again. And so we're in this endless loop of endless looping.
Yeah. So what's going on out there is a lot of conspiracy theories flying all over the place. I'm not sure if you're aware. You're probably not aware because you don't follow this kind of crap. But first of all, there was a Erica Kirk tape release. Candace Owens released a tape that Erica Kirk had, a call that she had with the Toilet Paper USA team 11 days after her husband was murdered, and she was all giggly and excited about all the money they made off of merch. They're selling merch. We're not selling merch. They're selling merch. Of course, if I got a bullet in my throat, maybe we could sell a T-shirt. If it's just something for you to think about. But so, and it just sounded like, the people want to say, well, everybody grieves differently. I don't think anybody grieves like, yeah, boy, we're making a lot of money over this stuff.
Actually, I remember when my father died, and my mother was like really celebrating all the. Well, actually, it was not my father; it was my stepfather. When my stepfather died, my mother was selling all of these little barbiturate necklaces because he'd OD'd. And she had these little necklaces with little barbiturates on them.
So
And,
the apple doesn't fall far from the
yeah.
tree.
It's like the pearl candy. Those pearl necklaces? Well, my mother had those little pearl necklaces with, instead of candy, it was barbiturates.
Yeah.
And yeah, she made a mint. As a matter of fact, it almost put me through college.
Seems like your mother would have written for the Rev too.
Yeah. So my mother made a lot of money, but she also got did a lot of time for drug distribution because apparently selling barbiturates, even if it's a necklace, is illegal. Who knew?
Yeah, who knew? Those little candy necklaces where you would buy. Yeah, that would be cool with the
See, you're thinking like my mom. That's what my mom was thinking. My mom was thinking, why go through the trouble of looking for your barbiturates when you want to take them on a golf course?
There you go.
They're right around your neck all the time.
And golf will do that to you. I gotta share this conspiracy theory with you because it's the oddest, it's the stupidest one, but it also reveals it's like projection. A lot of the MAGA, well, worse than that. The MAGA people are trying. Ilhan Omar got the guy ran up to her and sprayed her with something the other day, and
vinegar. I think it was apple cider vinegar.
They're coming out with saying that was staged, and that's projection because if anybody,
yeah. I just want to say, did you notice that she went after him?
Yeah.
I was like, it was just like when the guy that came up on the stage after Kamala Harris, and the woman who eventually became like the press secretary. I can't remember her name, a little French name. She just jumped out and went after the guy.
Right. So he did Rob Blagojevich. You remember Rob, the criminal who was bribed and sold
the criminal Obama's governor Senate. From Illinois. Yeah,
he sold Obama's Senate seat. They bribed him to take whatever. So he comes out where he says, I'm no. He said, I don't hate to sound like a cynic, but it feels like that was staged to me. Knowing politics, I feel like that was staged. And I'm like, dude, what you're saying is they paid a guy because the guy's been arrested and he's going to go to jail for assault. He's been charged with assault. They paid a guy to go to jail he's willing to go to jail over this, and they beat him up before they brought him to court and charged him. So there's all this, and now he's going to go to jail, and he's not going to spill the beans and say, I was set up. They paid me to do. That's so. I mean,
yeah. If you're going to set someone up, you want them to be like on a building far away, and then have a sharpshooter take them out.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So that's one of the conspiracy theories that is just ridiculous, stupid. You don't have the guy there to testify, and you can go ask him questions. Like, and the press is free to talk to the guy and say, you know what, were you paid to do this? It's projection because they know.
They know that Trump does this a lot because when he literally going back to when he first came down the escalator, those people were not supporters in there. They were paid. They were actors paid $50 a piece.
A lot of them, yes.
Yeah.
Most.
Melania was paid a lot more.
Yeah. So there's that conspiracy. Now there's one more that is. It's a stretch because Alex Preddy was involved. And there's a film of it 3 days before when he was murdered, and he was seen kicking an ICE vehicle, and they got out and they beat him. They beat him good, and that's where he got the cracked rib. But they also took his. They find out where he was and who he was, and they were profiling him. And the conspiracy theory is that it was a targeted hit. Like I said, let's take this guy out. They didn't make him go out into the street and start filming him. So I don't think it was
right. No, and it may not even been the same ICE agents
Right.
Let's put it this way: there's so much dickishness and unprofessionalism going around ICE. It's not unusual. It's that's why they keep making the same mistakes over and over again. I mean ICE, because they're trained by the same or not trained by the same people over and over again.
Yeah.
So and they're hiring the same type of people over and over again.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're a pit bull breeder. Well, I don't want to pick on pit bulls because I actually think they're very nice dogs, and they're not mean because of their breed. They're mean because of people.
Right.
But it's the same thing. The people doing the hiring for ICE, they're hiring this type, that they think they can train to be like attack agents,
Yeah.
and they can trust them to do the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And
there's a tape of Bovino telling them if they touch you, you can use and then they're provoking people to touch them. That guy screaming at somebody, if you raise your voice, I'll erase your voice. They're bad people. Pretty much to a T.
Like the ICE agent that went into the Ecuadorian consulate. You don't do that, okay? I've been studying Law and Order for like 20-something years.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, and I know from watching Law and Order that you don't try to snatch somebody out of a consulate.
Yeah.
And they say, and the agent says to the staffer, if you touch me, I will snatch you out of here.
Wow.
It's like I'm in a consulate.
Yeah.
I have camera people.
So do you remember the 1960s at all? You remember it?
I remember parts of it, and my house was divided between King and Malcolm X. I was a Martin Luther King guy.
They both lived in your house?
Yeah, they both lived in our house.
Wow.
So I was a King supporter, and my oldest brother, was a Malcolm X supporter. And we were so we were constantly talking about those things, even though I was 8 and he was 11.
Yeah. So last night I had a author on, Alan R. Warren, and we were talking about the Manson murders, and there's a lot of different conspiracy theories about that stuff. First of all, he was trying to start a race war. I'm not sure if you were aware of this. He was starting. Because
of course I didn't find that out until the 70s when it came on television.
There was a murder that happened before the LaBianca murders and the ones in Beverly Hills that the cult family did, and he was responsible for it. It was a drug dealer, but a Black Panther guy got arrested for it and went to jail for it, and he was paranoid that the Black Panthers were trying to get revenge on him. Now, this is not to say he wasn't an overt crazy racist on top of all this stuff, but he was also paranoid. And the reason for, according to Alan, who did a lot of research on this, he was trying to set up the Black Panthers for the murders in Beverly Hills, trying to make it look like they did it, and to start a race war, because he was so scared that they were going to get retribution on him for the murder he did that one of theirs went to prison for.
Well, even if he didn't start a race war, if that were his motivation, he would have the FBI on him doing the dirty work. It would be like framing. It's like you have a gang, and your gang is getting pressure, and you want to take the heat off of your gang. You can set up another gang for that activity, and then the police will do your dirty work.
There's so many conspiracy theories about Manson and all the stuff, so it's really hard to know what to believe. But the one thing
I believe Manson's dead.
You got his ashes to prove that?
I have a friend who has some of his ashes on a painting, and some of his blood.
How do we know that's true?
He got what was it?
A certificate of ash and blood?
Yeah, from the nephew that gave it to him. So he does have a letter. Yeah. Wow. I think it was a nephew or a son. Like I said, it's been so long since he and I have talked about
Sounds like a good scam to get in on. Like, I'm Charles. Yeah, I don't know if you know this about me.
No, look, they've done. He's been on.
I got some ashes. I got ashes and blood to sell.
His painting has been used in a lot of shows. So it's been documented and confirmed. DNA
verified.
test crap like that.
Billy the Kid. I'm sorry.
I think that's what he has, like a DNA certificate or something. But anyway, like I said, it's been I have not talked to him about that Manson thing since COVID. We've talked about other things since then.
Let's move on to Frank S. Joseph.
Yes, let's do that.
The reason because this is relevant to the discussion we're about to have. I knew about Detroit, the riots in Detroit. I thought were in '68. Apparently, they started in '67, but they were still going. I knew about the riots in Watts and all that kind of stuff, like in the '60s. And here, even on Long Island, there were race riots going on. I did not know about Chicago. I knew about the DNC. I didn't think there was any racial component in that. It's just like what was going on with the war and all that stuff. But the DNC was in Chicago in 1968, and there were riots. I didn't know Chicago had a lot of racial tension. For some
there
reason.
was, now if I remember correctly, because King was in Chicago, I think in '68, and it was more about labor. It was more about labor movement, the labor supporting labor. If my memory is correct. But
well,
of course, that's
let's
what Frank
get
is here
educated
for.
on it. You want to
Yeah,
get
that's what
educated?
Frank is here for. Frank is here to correct my memory.
Yeah. Frank S. Here we go. You know what? I gotta go. Like, what does it say? Maybe a bigger font would help. Frank S. Joseph lived this story that he writes about, novels about. He's a former Associated Press reporter in Chicago, and he was in the thick of inner-city riots and that marked and marred Chicago in the mid '60s. In 1967, he covered the Detroit riots that I talked about, which I thought were 1968, because I remember them going on during the World Series.
Are you trying to tell this man how to do his job?
No, I'm just
Okay.
telling. They were still going on. They started in '67 apparently, but they were still going on in '68 when the Detroit Tigers and the St. Louis Cardinals were playing in the World Series. And in '68, he was on the street for the infamous '68 Democratic National Convention disorders. You see it now. Let's say hello to Frank S. Joseph. Good morning, Frank.
Hello, gentlemen. Good morning.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Welcome back. I know. I just flew in from Detroit. Boy, are my arms tired.
Where's that rim shot?
Yeah, you wanted a job doing the news, because I'm firing the news guy today. Anyway.
No, but let me say about your introductory newscast, I liked that. That was cool.
I appreciate that.
Boy, this is going to be a fun 45 minutes.
Yeah, thank you.
Now I appreciate that, because he was trying to fire me over that. The very thing that you're saying is cool. He's like, you went too far.
Yes.
Thank you.
So now let's just to start off here. The Detroit stuff started in '67, but it did go to '68 in the World Series, right? I'm not wrong about that.
I was in Detroit for 3 days in '67. That's all I can tell you. But you want to know something about Detroit? Detroit was, in terms of lives lost and property damage and everything, the worst inner city riot that America has experienced. And I have my own personal theory as to why it was so bad, but I know I'm right. And I'm going to tell you here. You heard it here first. The National Guard was on the street, and they didn't know what the heck they were doing. And their leadership, or somebody gave an order to shoot out the street lights. And so, the National Guard shot out all the street lights, thereby making the Detroit riot probably 10 times worse than it needed to be, because nobody could see anything. And the bad guys were out there, free to do whatever they wanted. I shouldn't say bad guys. The residents of the inner city, the good people of Detroit were out. It was like carte blanche. You shoot out the street lights, it's dark, nobody can see anything.
All right. Let me preface this by saying, the question I want to preface it by saying, I grew up in a very racist white neighborhood, and in this time, in the '60s, mid '60s through the '70s, I do think that I saw a lot of people change for the better. But the question is, looking at then and looking at now, it seems hard to imagine that race relations. I'm not talking about all the stuff that's going on, because the stuff seems to be mirroring that very much. But I feel like people have changed in a way, at least a lot of people who I thought were unchangeable. Do you think race relations has gotten any better among the people, not necessarily systemic, on the systemic level, but within the population of the United States of America?
Without a doubt.
Wow.
I agree. Yeah.
Without a doubt.
So if that's true, why are we enabling the systemic continuation of what we're seeing? Because it seems like we have forgotten history, right?
Didn't go away. I didn't say it went away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we are enabling it, right? The population is enabling this.
Oh, I think we're very much enabling it. And a certain person is dog whistling like mad, basically saying it's okay.
Right.
Calling certain countries in certain places in the world, what whole countries. And
it's okay to say shithole, unless you have a problem with shit. You can say
No, I don't particularly have that.
Okay, if you have a problem with shit, we also.
If I do, I'm not talking about it on television.
Oh, that's okay. Because if you have a problem with shit, one of our sponsors, Good Brew, will help you with that.
Are they still a sponsor? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I haven't gotten a paycheck from them in a long or ever. That's a whole other story. But so this is the third book, To Do Justice is the third book in a trilogy. You start in the 40s, right?
That is correct.
48.
June 1948.
Okay. What was going, because this is before my time. What was going on in 48 in Chicago?
The White Sox were playing the Yankees. and the White Sox, worst team in baseball in that era, against the Yankees, best team in baseball at that era, beat them that particular day.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the White Sox
and the book, that novel, which we're supposedly not talking about, but we're going to talk about a little bit, starts with the White Sox and ends with the White Sox, and really kicks off the whole tale that I wind up telling, that stretches from June 1948 through summer of 1966.
Right. And that the book that book is To Love Mercy.
That is correct.
And that's the first book.
That is correct.
So and the question that I already asked was about improvement in the United States between this mid 60s and now, which is a long time. It's 50 years, more than 50 years, 60 years. What about between 1948 and the mid 60s? From the time your book series starts to the mid 60s, was there visible and demonstrable improvement, or just lip service to?
Oh no, I don't think so. In that period, I mean, it's awfully hard to say now, but not like there became. I'm going to throw something at you might not have thought of. The Cosby Show. When Bill Cosby showed up on television in a hugely popular sitcom with a middle-class black family that defied all the stereotypes, America paid attention to that. And All in the Family, another one, America paid attention to that. And it didn't change anybody's didn't change anybody's mind, consciously, but it sends messages to the culture saying this wasn't okay before, but maybe it's time to think again.
Right. Well, I just want to I don't want to take exception. I just want to point out that All in the Family, to people who were really embedded in their racist beliefs, they didn't get the satire. They didn't get any of it. They thought that this was a hero. This was a new American hero. Look, we're allowed to.
Absolutely. It was affirmation to them.
Yeah, I got a lot of it. Like that's how I found out about it. Was somebody told me, "Oh, you got to watch this show," and I was a young person at the time. But you got to watch the show where they were allowed to say, like, wait, what? And then I tuned in and I realized that Archie Bunker was a just a parody of those people who were telling me that kind of stuff, but
Yeah.
they never realized it. So.
Right.
Yeah. Now, I want to talk about one thing about your book because it's a novel, right? You
Yeah.
are the
Right.
first novelist I've seen. I'm showing a page on your website here that has actually. Oh, I'm not in the page. I wanted to show explore the book. That's where it is. You actually have visual representations of the characters, which I think is great because sometimes you when you're reading the book you want to imagine what they look like. I've had lots of authors on. I've never seen meet Pinky, who is the protagonist of this story, and there we have a good visual representation. That's a unique thing. I don't know if you're aware of that, but most authors don't go into that detail to help you kind of visualize.
Well, thank you. I'll tell my web guy you said that.
Yeah. So yeah, and the website is scrolling across the bottom. If you're if you're so inclined to get the book, and also I want to say this: if you're not so inclined to get the book, call your library and tell them to get the book.
Yeah, thank you. I was on another podcast and I said exactly that, and I think I caught the host by surprise. But definitely, tell your public library to shelve that book.
Yeah.
And let me just throw in a quick plug. The website is frankjoseph.com. Real
Right.
easy. My name, frankjoseph.com.
And the link is in the description, so people click on it, and it's scrolling across the bottom there. You can't miss it.
Great.
So now, Pinky, young girl, right?
Yep.
Did you purposely want to like cross genders here as the writing for the protagonist? Because you got to get into the mindset of the protagonist now, right?
That is correct. You remember this is book 3 of a trilogy, and Pinky appears on the first page, and we really don't know how she gets there and who she is until well into the book. But there's a history here, which is that Pinky's origin is in the second book, which we're not talking, officially not talking about today. But second book is called To Walk Humbly, and I'm not going to give away the spoiler here because
She's biracial, though, right?
She is biracial, but I kind of like to describe her that she looks white but she thinks black.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to take the liberty here of reading you the first four or five paragraphs.
Thank you.
Because this is in Pinky's voice. So imagine for a second that I'm an 11-year-old. I'm an 11-year-old mixed race girl who lives in a slum neighborhood just southwest of downtown Chicago, and I'm just going to read this.
Hold on 1 second. I need to put on my 11-year-old girl glasses. So I can,
there you go.
Now I see it now. I see it.
Tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready. You pulled it off. Got the look.
All right. Ever since I'm little, I be wondering who my mama is. It ain't Jolene. Jolene's been raising me, but I ain't her blood. Reminds me of it every chance she gets. Picked me out of a trash pile one day. That's what Jolene says, like a maggot out of a garbage can. If I'm trash, I say, why you done it? Just teasing, she says. You'd be worth real money. Check for $102.80 on the first of every month. Calls it her pinky check. Long as the welfare keeps sending the pinky check, that's all she cares about, Jolene. Jolene just laughs when I ask about my real mama. One day I'd be finding her, though. See, does Jolene laugh when that day comes?
Wow. Is that hard?
Okay, now you're a man again. Got it.
Is that hard to do, to get into that space of?
I wish I knew how to answer that question. Is that hard? No, it wasn't hard. And I'll tell you why. Pinky just came down from heaven and presented herself to me, and she started talking in my mind. Wow. Which is something, if you talk to other novelists, sometimes, a lot of them will say, they had a very similar experience. I live in the Washington, D.C. area now. I left Chicago in 1969, but I spent the first 29 years of my life in Chicago and the suburbs, and I was back. I was back. Actually, I was back to on a book tour, and I was in a hotel on the north side, and there was a terrible storm. All the airports were closed. I figured, no problem. I got a train ticket back because I like riding trains. Excuse me. And the trains were down too because wires were on the tracks. So I was stuck in this hotel room for 4 days, and that's where I wrote those lines. And I wasn't even thinking necessarily about starting the novel there, but I was just sitting there, and all of a sudden there was Pinky, and she was talking to me, and I just wrote down what she was saying.
Wow. It's interesting. A lot of authors do talk about that kind of almost channeling their protagonist.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. It's not to scare people away. If people hear the word channeling and they think we're going all new age guru nonsense here, but it is kind of it's a unique experience of trying to, and this is what makes writing a novel very different from writing nonfiction. Was there ever any inclination to write a nonfiction book about, because it's a very serious subject, it's something we are still dealing with, and any inclination to write about it as from a nonfiction point of view?
Well, I'll tell you, when I was at the AP and covering these riots, I was overwhelmed by the experience of, being out there in the street in the middle of chaos and turmoil, and, capturing it all and expressing it for 350 words, in 350 words for the A-Wire. And, I was, trying to write about stuff I didn't understand myself. Just to take one example, big example, was the first day of a riot is a really happy time. People are laughing. They're out there on the street. They're having a good time. They're carrying loot. Cops, they're laughing at the cops, and they're just having a great time. Second night, not so much. Third night, pretty grim. But I didn't understand that. Well, over the years, sociologists who have talked about this too have described it as the carnival effect, which is really kind of what, that's a good description of it. So, but I didn't know that at the time. And I decided to leave the news business and go back to school and get a PhD in political sociology and write, and spend the rest of my life trying to understand and write about these phenomena. So I did that. By great good luck, I got into the University of Chicago, which wasn't good luck at all because I was two of the worst years of my life. I'm really not cut out to be an academic. And the best thing I learned in grad school was that I really needed to get back in the news business. And that was my master's thesis. And I wrote half my master's thesis, and I was so depressed and discouraged that I never finished the damn thing. And it's sitting in a carton in my basement, half written. And I finished the coursework for the master's degree, but never actually got the diploma. Many, many years later, I wanted to tell this story. And I was, at that point, I was kind of retired, and I was, writing novels. And I was a creative writing major in college. I was not a journalism student, although I spent the first half of my life as a newspaperman. And so I wrote in fiction what I never did write as fact. And I think it's much better this way, because I would never write my memoir. I don't think my life was that interesting, that anybody would want to read my memoir. But there were a lot of things going on in my life that just, lend themselves to fiction.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you know, I'm a noticer. I notice these things. I didn't realize I was noticing these things until I sat down to write these novels, and then you know they all come flooding back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm what I'm about to say might embarrass you in a humbling way, but it's extraordinary. You've got some rave reviews about this book, but here's the normal thing is if somebody doesn't like your book, they'll write a paragraph. If somebody loves your book, they'll write one line. You have an enormous amount of people who love your book writing several paragraphs, which is totally uncommon, and it's a great. It's got to be a great and very rewarding experience. Again, I'm not trying to embarrass you by this, but
It really is.
yeah. How do you know? I mean, try to wrap your head around what it is about what you've written that compels rave reviews, because again, rave reviewers generally, wow, what a great book. I highly recommend it. Would be a normal one, not like several paragraphs long. Do you have any idea why you've inspired such?
I hope it's because I touch people's hearts.
That's,
I mean, you know, I look. Novelists are performers. You know, we're entertainers just like you guys. And you know, we're there to give the reader a good time. But we're also there for, you know, a lot of other reasons. And you know, I want to write fast-paced, compelling, cliffhanger, you know, just, you know, the usual things that people, you know, little novelist tricks to, you know, to get people to keep turning the pages. And also that's the kind of book I enjoy reading. I'm not, you know, I'm not a highbrow. I'm middlebrow at best. I mean, you know, I like fast-paced, you know, cliffhanger stories, as I think most people really do. But I've also got, you know, a lot of thoughts and feelings that I've been thinking since I was a 6-year-old kid about race in America. And I grew up, you know, in this racially changing place called Hyde Park, which is where Obama's home is. I grew up about 5 blocks from Obama's home.
wow.
And that neighborhood changed. We used the word changed back then in the 1950s.
Yeah.
Because due to a Supreme Court decision in 1948 or 9, I forget exactly, I think it was 1948, that struck down restrictive covenants. Now, do you guys know what restrictive covenants were?
Is it the same as redlining?
Yep, that pretty
Okay.
much same as redlining. They were private agreements between landlords and tenants or buyers saying, you know, giving the landlord the right to say, you know, who could live in their property. And in every case, they were used to exclude Black people, and sometimes Jews too, and you know, other people they deemed undesirable. And these agreements, while private agreements, had the force of law. They were, you know, they were just like law until the Supreme Court case that said no, these agreements are illegal. And so things slowly started to change. Well, in Chicago, practically every Black person in the city of Chicago, because of restrictive covenants, was confined to a ghetto called Bronzeville. And because of the tremendous amounts of migration from the South in the 40s and 50s, Bronzeville was tremendously overcrowded, bursting at the seams. There was crime, there was, you know, poverty, the schools were awful. And, you know, a lot of Black people would rather live 30 blocks away in Hyde Park where things were nice. So after this decision, they started doing that. They started moving into the neighborhood where I'd grown up. And I was a 10-year-old kid when this started. And, you know, I started seeing my classmates drift off to the northern suburbs, mostly to the northern suburbs. And we didn't. We stuck it out till about 1950, for 4 years, 1954. But then, you know, my mom and dad decided to build a house in this totally white bread suburbs, 35 miles south of the city, called Park Forest. And, they spirited me out there. Again, nobody consulted me whether I wanted to go. I would have said no. And this is the meat and potatoes of the second novel, To Walk Humbly.
Now,
But I've been thinking about this stuff since I was 6. Really, my grandpa owned a movie theater in Bronzeville called the States Theater, and we'd go down there because it was 4 blocks from Comiskey Park, and nothing my grandpa and my dad loved doing rather than playing hooky and taking a day off and going to see a White Sox game. And I came along on that. And what I remember was my dad, who was a very, not a prejudiced guy at all. And neither was my mom. They were, quite progressive for the time. He and I were in the car and we approached Bronzeville, and he says, "Lock the doors." Well, I knew what he was talking about because all the faces around me had turned from white to black. And even, he didn't explain this to me. So I jumped to a 6-year-old conclusion that black people are the most dangerous people in the world.
Yeah. I had a similar experience. I remember, and my father was very progressive. My grandfather, not so much, but my grandfather was driving. My father was in the passenger seat of my grandfather's Dodge Lancer, 1964 Dodge Lancer. We were driving through Watts in Southern California, and they told me, "Get down in the back seat." Because
exactly, same thing. Yeah, same thing.
Same sort of thing. Go ahead.
Now, I'm just curious, Frank, because do you know how old you were when you realized that people people consider a difference in race? In other words, as a child, to me, people just look different. I had no concept of race. They just look different. There were people who were dark. There were people who were light. There were people who, that's it. And so do you remember when you became when those differences became race as opposed to just looking different?
Hard question to answer directly, but I'll tell you a story. We had a maid. They don't use that term anymore, but we had a maid, a housekeeper, whose name was Dora Winfield, and she came into our lives right about the same time, when I was 6 years old, and she stayed with us mostly. She stayed with us really until I was in high school. And she was 6'3", homely as a mud fence, 2nd grade education, Sunflower, Mississippi. And she was one of the smartest people I probably have ever known in my life, but country smart, not book smart. And she had wonderful sayings like, I hate seeing these $5 hats and these $10 heads. I mean, 10-cent hat. I'm mixing that up, but she had a lot of good things to say. She, I was looking for something. He said, "Child, it's right here. If it was a snake, it would have bit you." But anyway, so Dora was, she was black, and she was like, she was the mom when the mom wasn't around. She was the caregiver. She was the person with the milk and cookies when my sister and I came home from school. And I fictionalized Dora in these novels. I also call her Dora, but I give her a different last name. And she's a very important character in the first 2 novels. She is the glue that holds the white worlds and the black worlds together.
Wow.
She is the housekeeper in the white family's home. She's there a couple of, most days, and she would sleep over on a cot in the dining room 1 or 2 nights a week, often. And she cleaned the house. She kept an eye on us. She took my mom's unconscious stupidities in stride, I think I could say. Um, and this was all kind of, this was my life, and it was a lot of people's lives back then. I mean, I knew Dora was black. I knew Dora was different. I knew Dora prayed to Jesus, and devoutly too. One of the most devout persons I think I've probably ever known in my life. And in my novels, she talks directly to Jesus. She has conversations, directly with Jesus, which I don't know that she actually did in real life, but she well might have. And so, she was the only black person in my life back in those days, in my childhood, but she was a big, important person in my life in those days.
Now, how old were you when you lost contact with her?
Around 14, I'd say. We had moved to the suburb. She came out there once or twice. I think my mom, one time she came out there because my mom was having a party of some kind or another, and she came out to help out. But at that time, she was pretty old. I think she had cataracts. I think she might have had cancer. And the last time I saw her was probably when I was 14 or 15.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a story I saw not too long ago about a family portrait. The nice white family out in the front yard. They take a picture, and a daughter who was looking at this picture, it's a very old picture. She notices a ribbon in the house, which is in the background, in the corner of the window, and she did some investigation on that. Turned out the ribbon belonged to a house servant maid who was a nurse during the war and was given a medal, and they basically weren't allowed to talk about the medal. She added, not knowing it would show up in this photograph, but it was this whole long story about how she tracked down who the medal belonged to and her daughter, and relived the whole history of this stuff. A lot of cool stuff on there.
Yeah.
And I hate to expose my own ignorance about this, and I know everything about the Vietnam War had a racial component to it, including we were sending more people of color to the front lines and all that stuff.
Yes, it did.
But the 1968 Democratic National Convention, I thought, was really just about the war and not really even thinking about the racial component there. Talk to me a little bit about what I missed in my education.
No, you're correct. It was about the war. It was. Yeah, I don't think it had much of a racial component.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was assuming, because you talk about it in the book, that it had to have some kind of tie-in there to the racial tensions that were.
No, I think I'm just sort of building my resume. But I'll tell you, that was a seminal event too, covering that. I was out on the street. I was never inside the convention. I was out on the street every night. I caught some tear gas in Lincoln Park. I was out on the street every night except the last night, where there was a confrontation at 18th and Michigan with the National Guard. I didn't cover that, but I was right in front of the Hilton when, the infamous police riot took place. And yeah, I was there. Yeah. And, covering it for the AP.
Do you have a profile of the people who are reading your books? I know, and I asked this of a lot of authors lately, and I'm shocked to find out. Listen, I understand you're the author, not the publisher, or not the you're not a publishing executive, but the fact that so many authors don't really have a solid picture of the avatar of who is reading their books, and it seems to be a lot now that I'm asking the question. I don't really know. There isn't one like. Do you know who the audience is for the book? Is it older people like me who remember the times, or is it middle age? The typical reader, which would be women between 35 and 50. What are we looking at? Do you have any clue?
Yes. Yes. If I were a smart promoter, I'd say, oh, everybody in America wants to read this book.
That's what everybody does say, by the
way. But if I were telling the truth, which I ought to do, I suppose, we're on television, A lot of old people read this book. A lot of Chicagoans read this book. Um, I wish more young people read this book. I don't believe many do, but I wish they did. And quite frankly, these books are, often pigeonholed as young adult books because they're about kids. The protagonists of these books are kids.
Right.
And the book business has a way of pigeonholing you. If you're writing about kids, you're writing for kids, and it's just a straitjacket. But so I often try kind of get shoved into that, and I am writing about kids. And in fact, one of the things I'm really interested in these novels is how children view the world, which is different than how us grown-ups view the world. And it even changes. I can remember, you're not going to believe this, but when I was a little kid, the moment came and I realized my mindset was changing, that I was losing something of my childish perspective and transitioning to something unknown. And I just knew it. In fact, I can even sort of remember when and how, because I was in some vehicle going somewhere, looking out the window at something and having this thought. And I couldn't tell you precisely what time in my life it was, but it might have been around age 7. Or maybe a little older. Well, that's one of the things I wanted to write about, but I didn't want to write kids' books.
Right.
It's a genre. Young adult is a genre. There's certain rules. They're supposed to have this, not supposed to have
You gotta have penguins and polar bears together.
Yeah, well, kind of. Yeah, that's right. Kind of, and uplifting morals sometimes and things like that.
I'm glad you went here because I don't mean to interrupt you, but this I think not just. I don't want to make it sound like I'm just like trying to push your book like crazy, but I was thinking the other day because I saw a thing about Gregory Peck and how strong he fought to play the Kill a Mockingbird, the role really, really, loyal to the book. And I'm thinking about the book was mandatory reading when I was in school, and it feels like this book has a historical lesson that if we could contact schools and try to get this the book series, the entire book series, as part of a curriculum for young people. I think there's such a valuable lesson, not just from the literary point of view in English classes, but it also ties the English courses into history and American history in a way that is really needed. So if people have if you got teachers, school board members in your circle, please reach out to them and let them know about the books. And
when To Love Mercy was published by a company called Publishers Place, Mid-Atlantic Highlands, in 2006. And in 2006 through 2008, I made 7 trips to Chicago, flogging the book. And these were the days before podcasts, when I was making personal appearances. And I made a lot of appearances in Chicago public schools where they don't see authors. They see them in the suburbs, but they don't see them in town. And I got really lucky in that I met an executive of Chicago Public Schools who really made this happen in a lot of ways. And I appeared in a lot of schools, and I was writer in residence at a middle school on the Northwest Side for a week. And the book did go on the curriculum in a lot of places. I was in some very tough schools who just loved it. And so during that period, the book had a whole huge second life in Chicago public schools, and he sold about 1,000 copies, I think. When the dust settled, I think sold about 1,000 copies to schools, which had put it on the reading lists.
Yeah, very cool. Now, when you write, this is 3 books, and you finish the 3rd book.
Yep.
is there like a remorse, like it's almost like you're burying some characters who have been part of your life now for a long time, and you got to know them
I thought I'd done that after the first book. I didn't. I didn't intend for this to be a trilogy, but my publisher at the time knew a literary agent, and he, ran it by her, and she fell in love with the book, and said, "Write me 2 more, and I can sell it as a Chicago trilogy," which is where the idea came from. And so then that publisher said, who happened to be a guy that I had worked at the AP with, who also covered the riots, and we kind of had a history, and he said, "You got to write about the riots." And I said, yeah, I do. Yeah, you're right. But there's another book that comes in between that I got to write first. And that was To Walk Humbly, the second book in the trilogy, which is, in my mind, kind of the high school book. And it spans 5 years of the mid-50s.
Wow. Yeah. So we're going from 1948 through 1969, which
right.
is
5.5 days in June 1948, 5 years from 1952 to 1957, and 2 summers, 1965 and 1966. And you said you didn't know there were riots in Chicago, and that's a reasonable thing to say, because they were overshadowed by Watts, they were overshadowed by Detroit, they were overshadowed by Newark, lots of other places that were,
And locally here, I mean, I'm sure my local situation was not like in the national news, but Long Island, every high school was having race riots. It was almost, and
it was everywhere. It was everywhere.
It almost felt like obligatory. Like I had black friends that we would sit at the table, in lunch tables with. We were friends. Oh, but it's time to meet out on the field and like line up on other sides now and have like it was almost like by the time I got in high school, it was almost like a rite of passage. Okay, it's time for the race riots. Like what the hell are we doing?
Yeah, black tables at lunch.
Okay. Yeah.
The kids, they would split themselves out into racial groups just because. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it. Last question, and I'll let you go about the books. Now, can somebody just pick up the current book, To Do Justice, and feel like that could stand alone as a story by itself, or do they need to start with the first book?
Yes. All 3 of these books stand alone. Okay. Which was important to me. And the first time I ever did it, I'd never done this before. And I thought, oh, cripes, this is going to be really difficult to do. They do all stand alone. I think if I had to single one out that kind of leans on the other 2 a little bit more, it would have been the middle one, To Walk Humbly. To Do Justice definitely does. But to understand, where Picky comes from, you got to read To Walk Humbly. And then, if you read that, you got to say, there's a lot of references back to how my 2 protagonists, Sass and Steve, one white, one black, meet each other. You got to read To Love Mercy. So the answer is sure. You can read any of them and hopefully have a terrific time doing so, and post a great review on Amazon and Goodreads and wherever else you like to post reviews. But think how much better it would be if you read all 3.
Right, yeah. No, of course. It's just it can be very frustrating for a reader if you stumble across a book in a bookstore or something.
No.
And then you get, oh wait, I'm lost here. I gotta read the other 2 books first.
Now the way a lot of books are published now. It's like book 17 of the Star Mind series, and
we get a lot.
In our last episode, you'll remember we did this and that.
Yeah.
This isn't that.
Very cool. Well, we appreciate you being here. I think it's a as important a message as ever, and it's part of our history we can't deny. And it's really important to remember this stuff so that we don't continue to go back down this road that we're on right now. So thank you very much.
Agreed. Agreed.
FrankSJoseph.com, folks, to support Frank, and go leave. You don't have to leave the book kind of reviews that he gets on. I mean, if you're like somebody's reading like 3 pages of reviews there, very, very cool stuff. But congratulations on your success, and we hope you continue it, and we will do whatever we can to remind people that your books are out there. So thank you.
I do appreciate it, and it's www.frankjoseph.com.
Okay,
Come back again sometime.
Yeah,
I'd love to.
All right. Have a great day.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Bye for now.
You hear that? He called me a gentleman. Yeah.
Well, he was talking to me.
I mean, he said men. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you're only 3/5. You're only thanks, gentle 3/5 of a man.
Well, 3/5 is still a number.
Why am I just so rude to you? Because of that. I'm still angry about the snowplow thing, right? That's what it is.
I didn't plow your yard.
But you stood on the side of. It's like you didn't. You're not a Trump supporter either. But to recognize why I'm mad at Trump supporters, they're not the ones actually sending ICE to beat me up, but they support the guy. You support the snowplow.
I'm not. See, supporting and understanding aren't the same thing.
Oh. Well, so you're willing to cross the line now and say this that all snowplow drivers suck?
No, because they have a purpose. They're doing their job in the sense that I understand. Believe me, I have been where you are, where I just plowed out my driveway, which was a gravel driveway, that's not easy. And then while I'm sleeping, they plow the slush in front of my driveway, and now it's not just snow, which I could deal with, because they plowed it and it was slush. It became a block of ice.
Yeah,
I've been there, and I'm and I'm like pissed off because I have like a 1.5 foot of ice, getting me.
Greg Bovino, is that what you're talking about? 1.5 foot?
Yeah, that's about how tall he is too, 1.5 foot.
Yeah, and
having to get a pick, like a real pick, not like a ice pick. Yeah, one of my I had to get, since it was more like an Afro-American pick, because that was mine, but yeah, it was like I was up there singing Negro spirituals trying to get out of my driveway. Oh Lord,
Chain's gonna come.
Oh Lordy,
nah, I don't like that one.
Break a piece of ice. Yeah, but that's the one you got to sing when you're swinging a pickaxe. Because it's got a rhythm to it. It's like, oh Lordy, swing a pickaxe. Oh Lordy, break a chunk of ice, like that.
Wow,
that's the way it works. So you don't know much about your
no, I don't. You're right.
When you use them,
I seriously don't. I need to get more educated on that.
Yeah,
Ian,
hello Ian, saying "Swing Low, Sweet Chariot." That's it's a very beautiful song to sing, but it's not a good song to work to.
Yeah, well, he's a Huck Finn, whatever he is.
He's a huckster.
He's a you know how
or a finster. He's a huckster or a finster.
I lost part of my pen. It shouldn't play with stuff. That's how you go breaking stuff.
I just want to mention something to you, and you probably don't even realize this now.
I don't.
You started a while ago. You started impersonating somebody by doing this.
I know.
And now it's like a habit of yours. You do this all the time now.
It definitely. We talked about that yesterday. How you can get into character and then not be able to get out of character.
Oh yeah. I do that. I do that with. There's some characters that once I start, it's really literally I could be like all day long. My brain wants to go back to that character. Part of it's because it's a fun place for me.
Yeah.
Like last night, I ran into a friend of mine I haven't seen for like maybe 4 years. I used to work with her, and they were talking about maybe playing trivia, because last night was trivia night. And I said, well, I'm gonna tell you what my wife told me. You don't overthink it, and you got to put on your stupid hat. And she goes, And then she looked at me and goes, because she knows I'm something of a smart person. And so she goes, do you have a stupid hat? She says, do you have a stupid hat? I went, oh yeah, oh god, that goes, and I couldn't stop doing it in my head. It was so hard for me because when I went back to the table, to my own table, I knew I couldn't start doing it.
I believe the proper term is dunce cap. You said stupid hat.
Yeah, stupid hat. Well, I'm not talking about the accurate I'm talking about what my wife said. My wife, we call it a stupid hat. Yeah,
I know. I'm just saying it's the proper term for it is dunce cap.
But it's also, see, there's a difference between a hat and a cap.
Right.
Yeah, and the dunce caps, they were all like almost like one size fits all, and it didn't matter how big your head was. When you got put in the corner, you just got this cone, But a hat, has like these little. Sometimes they have these little bands in it, but those are caps.
Before we go any further, let's just wish happy birthday to Tom Myers, friend of the program, his 43rd birthday today, and a huge supporter of G.D. Fenderson. So let's
that's exaggerating. He's not a huge supporter of mine, but we're friends.
He's an athletic supporter of yours.
Yeah, because we have a mutual admiration club.
All right, that's all right, that's a support.
In comedy, that's a big deal.
All right, well, it sounds like I'm blowing smoke up GD's ass here because, first of all, you talk about overthinking, and yesterday, I remember I was talking about Mishka brought up the geese thing, and I was trying to give my interpretation of what the geese thing on SNL was all about, and he came back to me with, Matt, you're just overthinking this thing. And then I gave, my overall point was, I think they love the reaction that they got, right? They got this reaction of hate, but I think that they like that. They take pride in that people are calling them the worst act ever on SNL. And he came back, he said, Matt Nappo, again, you're overthinking it. You should have been a writer. Now, I just took that and said, Matt Nappo, you should have been a writer. From him, and I posted it from Mishka Shubaly, who is a best-selling author and teacher of creative writing at Yale, professor at Yale, who teaches creative writing, and that's a quote from him. So the overthinking thing, that's now I wear that like a badge of honor, but I took that part out of it. So it turns out I shouldn't have been a writer. I should have been an editor because I'm really good at editing. I took the whole negative part out of there.
Well, that's only if you keep working at it, because if you keep letting AI do your editing for you, you're going to lose your edge.
That's fair enough. The other day,
because you're going to forget, because some of the editing is learning how to look crucially at things and saying what should be kept, what's necessary to keep the story going, and what can I take out so that people don't lose interest, or get misdirected, because they can keep interest and get missed and lose the point.
Yeah. The other day you were educating me on
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. On the ability to let go of things that you can't control and things that are out of your hands. And like, because I was saying, how do you get through these times without just like being like in an emotional just ball of wax over everything that's going on. And you were saying let go of the things you can't control, and focus on the things you can control, the things that are in your control. And yesterday I had that really hammered home. I met a man, and we were talking. We were just both like exhausted. And I said, "Well, it's been a rough day." He said, "Yeah, I had a rough day too. I was in the hospital." I was like, "Wow, I hope it was nothing serious." He said, "No, it's a tumor on my liver." Well, that doesn't sound too serious. I'm sure that'll pass. He said, I said, "Well, I hope it all works out." He said, "It's out of my hands." What a fucking great attitude to have about
I was talking to a woman who had survived Chernobyl, and when she was there years and years and years ago, they were exposed to radiation and weren't told about it, and now she has brain cancer. And so I was in the cancer ward waiting for a test, not because I have cancer, but because the test I needed, they needed the equipment that was in the cancer wing. They couldn't give me the test in the other wing. So I'm sitting in the cancer ward with all these people with cancer, and I'm the only person in the ward who doesn't have cancer. Okay. And this one woman, and so yeah, I'm there for like some test that is just going to determine if I'm still black or something. I don't even know what the test was for, but it was so minor compared to what everybody else is there for. And so the last and where it says my nature, like I said, I don't mind silence. I don't like if I'm alone, I'm fine with silence. If my wife and I are sitting on the sofa together, I'm okay with the silence because I'm comforted by her presence. But when I'm in a waiting room with a bunch of people, I don't like that silence. So I start talking to people. And then without being on purpose, I go into a routine. But it's not like a routine by rote. Like I read the room and I see what people are reading and I just, work that in or whatever. And so the last person to leave the room was the cancer lady, was the brain cancer lady. And she tells me about Chernobyl. And the thing is, she knows she's dying. She's saying, like, they've given me, she says, these treatments have given me 20 years that I didn't know that I would not have had if I stayed in Ukraine.
Wow. Is that a good thing? I mean, I have a terrible attitude, don't I? But prolonging life, because I read a thing that the life expectancy in America is now it's the highest it's ever been right now, and I'm not. Is that?
Yeah, but what's the wealth expectancy? I don't mind. See,
yeah, the misery that goes with that life expectancy. That was exactly the point. Like, well, I'm not sure it's a good thing to live longer if your life isn't good.
Right, and again, that's what they call. Okay, to plug myself, so to speak, not with the butt plug though.
Well, I was going to say we need
video. One of my 90-minute shows. I don't like calling them specials because they're not specials. To me, I'm just documenting.
Oh,
I don't like calling them specials, but that's just the word for them. But it's like one of the third one I did. The whole theme of this show that was called The Disillusionist, and the whole theme of the thing is that we're all going to die. We're all going to grow old. We're not all going to grow old. If you're lucky, there's two choices: you grow old or you die. And if you grow old, you get to choose what kind of an old person you're going to be. And the kind of old person you're going to be is going to be determined by the memories you hold on to and the memories you let go of. If you hold on to the happy memories, you're going to be a happy old person. And if you let the bad stuff run your life, you become an old person who says, "Get off my lawn, get out of my life."
Get off my snow, I think is what.
Yeah. So, and that's the whole point of the show, and that's how it ends. It ends with me portraying me as an old man because I've decided to be a happy old man and not a miserable old man. I made that choice.
You're happy?
I'm not an old man yet, but yeah.
Oh, yes, you are. Come on.
No, I'm 66. I'm not an old man yet.
66 is old.
But I feel it. I do feel it. I honestly feel like I could probably do comedy for like maybe another 4 years, and that's it.
Yesterday, I was videotaping a lady who she described herself as old as 47, and I'm like,
those are people I don't like.
You don't like?
No, as a comedian, I don't like them.
Why?
Because they don't know what old is yet. See, again.
Well, let me be fair. Let me be fair about it, because she was describing changing a career, changing who and what she was all about at 47, and it felt like a little, to midlife change in everything that she was about, and so she felt like it was too old to be making those changes. And like, yeah, 47.
Well, that's different. Yeah. That's different. That's like setting my ways and having to learn new stuff. To me, old is, again, plugging my own material. To me, you're not old until people start treating you like a child and taking away your choices, making your choices for you. That's when you're old. It's like, no, Pop, you can't drive anymore. We're going to take your license. That's when you're old. When I want to get a dog, but they say, no, you're too old to get a dog. The dog is going to outlive you. Here, get a goldfish.
Yeah.
then you'll be okay.
I
To
want
me,
to say
that's
one other
old.
thing. If you're so if you're to the point where Frank Joseph brings up Bill Cosby, the Cosby Show, and your mind or it goes back to Chet Kincaid, the basketball coach, you're old, and that was me.
Or I Spy.
I Spy, right? I don't know which came first, Chet Kincaid or I Spy.
I think I Spy was his first chance to do acting on television anyway,
And
because
that was groundbreaking as far as race goes, because he is a black guy playing a lead role in not he's not just
a
playing
co-lead role. He was with Robert Culp?
Robert Culp, right?
Culp.
But it wasn't playing, a typical servant or some kind of menial,
Right.
yes, and boss. He was
Right.
playing a lead role in it, and it was around the time Sidney Poitier was making very influential movies in that regard. But this, so was I Spy before Chet Kincaid? But Chet Kincaid,
My understanding that I Spy came first only because Bill Cosby credited Robert Culp for giving him the opportunity to be an actor. So I would assume that came first. Unless in Kincaid he wasn't acting. He said, I didn't have to act. I was
it did portray. This was a precursor to the Cosby Show, where he played a doctor. He was a teacher, and I think most of the students were white kids in the Chet Kincaid, where he was a basketball coach, a phys ed teacher. But most of his students in the show were white, and so it was kind of a softening of the racial profiling within television roles that were available.
I Spy started in 1965. Now, let me see. Bill Cosby, you said Chet Kincaid?
Chet Kincaid, yeah. The Cosby Show. No, it wasn't. That's the second one. Bill Cosby Show. I don't know what it was called.
Chet Kincaid movie. Was that a movie or was that a?
It was a television show, a series.
Okay, let me see here. I'm trying to, because I don't remember the name of the actual show.
Yeah, I think it was just the Bill Cosby Show. That's what I'm Googling here. Really?
Yeah, it was called the Bill Cosby Show, and that was in 1969.
Yeah. Oh, 69. So that was definitely way after I Spy.
Yeah, that was because I Spy ran from 65 to 68. And so the Bill Cosby Show ran from 69 to 71.
Yeah. But he was I think he was the only black teacher at that school in the series that was 69 to 71.
So I guess that was their version of To Serve with Love.
But they still made him a gym teacher. It wasn't like a science teacher.
Yeah, like
it was
Bill,
yeah.
But as a gym teacher, you probably have more room to write comedic stuff as opposed to being a regular teacher too. That may not have been a racial thing as much as it's been like we want him to be funny, and because Bill Cosby was an athlete in high school.
So let me ask you a question here about Bill Cosby. Considering what he his scandals and stuff.
Yeah.
On the ledger, if you were St. Peter at the gate and he showed up, how do you balance out the good he's done brought to the world versus the not so good?
If I was St. Peter, I wouldn't make that call. I wouldn't. If I was St. Peter, okay, I would bring in the people that were affected by it. And let them make the
jury of your peers. You're talking about.
So in other words, so let's say there's a woman. I'm just going to make up a name because I'm going to call her
Mom.
I'm going to say the woman is Francine Joseph. Okay, a woman named Francine Joseph is in heaven, and she was one of the people that Cosby had slipped a quaalude to. Okay, and so bring her in, and because maybe in her heart she goes, what he did was really bad, but because this is the lesson I tried to teach my daughter, that sometimes a bad thing can happen and a good thing can come from it. So, for example, if somebody broke into our house and I defended my daughter by killing the man, but I go to jail for it, even though it's in my house, but my daughter in that regard learns about justice and becomes a lawyer, and then her becoming a lawyer, she defends. She gets off, let's say, 12 people who were unjustly arrested or convicted. She gets those people, clear. Even though
Yeah,
she couldn't save me, but because she became a lawyer, she saved 10 other people.
right.
Then something good came from that. Even though it wasn't me, it wasn't good for me. It was good for my stepdaughter. I'm
I
just
keep
saying.
I keep checking my phone because I'm a little nervous here. But
You think YouTube is going to call you and say you're demonized?
no,
Demonized.
I don't want to like sidetrack here because I am fascinated by the complications of the human condition because Bill Cosby brought so much good to the world. And I know a lot of people get angry at me for even pointing that out now. Like he did a lot of really good things as far as society goes. He
But
also
even
was,
some of this, the innocuous stuff. Okay, just gonna point this out here. Because of his comedy, okay, we as kids did some really stupid shit because of, like the Jello on the floor. There was a show he did a bit called The Chicken Heart That Ate New York City or something like that. And in his story, he says he was home by himself and he got so scared that he spread Jello all over the floor so that when the chicken heart came to get him, it would slip on the floor and fall.
right.
And instead, his parents came home and they slipped on the floor and fall. And there were so many kids that did stupid shit like that, not even to get their parents, but to get their siblings or whatever, based on a comedy, which is supposed to be funny. But bad things happen from that comedy.
Yeah. Sunshine Point, she says he ruined it by what he did. It was discovered after he had done all that, but he was doing some of that stuff while. And I don't want to sound like I'm excusing him because we did talk about the culture of the time. Before there were roofies and date rape drugs, it was very common to have a date and say you want to take a Quaalude, enhanced sex and all that kind of stuff. And he was part of that culture. There is no doubt about it. And again, I'm not excusing him. I'm just
Right.
trying to put a kind of perspective on it that people who, if you didn't grow up in that neighborhood, that era, that neighborhood, that time and place, you would probably think, well, that's the most evil thing I've ever thought of. But in a lot of cases, it was consensual. Yeah, you want to get here, take a fucking Quaalude and we'll fuck better, type of thing.
And because you and I are about the same age. I think you're maybe 10 to 15 years older.
20.
But we're about to.
Yes.
But I remember the day, even when I was a teenager in my 20s dating, they replaced the Quaalude with the drinks, but because my mom had been raped as a young lady, she raised me with a different set of ethics. I was raised to be aware of those situations, so like I said, it was ingrained in me to look out for people like that, to protect people from things like that.
Yeah.
And so even if I was on a date, I would try to keep my date down to one drink because I wanted to make sure that we were lucid. I didn't want it to be well, I didn't want to be with you, but that third drink that you gave me, I lost my mind or something like that.
Slipping them a Mickey is what they used to call it. And that was going back to the 30s and 40s. That big deal. But again, I've caught enough heat for saying I'm an apologist for him. I'm not excusing that behavior at all. I'm just trying to put it in some kind of perspective. But the question that will always be is because he did so much for society in a lot of ways that improve society. It's not for us to make these judgment calls, but it's a tough judgment call.
And that's why if I were St. Peter, and Cosby gets there, it's okay, now, of course, let's say the women that he's, that felt wronged by him are not there yet. It's okay, well, you have to wait over there.
Yeah,
so
well,
I guess people call that purgatory, and that's what purgatory would be for. It's well, you wait over there till the people that feel wrong about you, because I'm not going to say
Take a
okay,
number.
yeah.
Get in
Well,
line.
when I was starting to be a minister, I used to pray one way before I became a minister, and once I became a minister, I started praying a different way. And so when just say in the prayer says, "Forgive me my trespasses, as I forgive those who have trespassed against me."
Right.
And then I realized, but sometimes some people are mad at me, and I actually did not do them any wrong. They just think I wronged them. And so I had to modify my prayer. So it's like, forgive me for my trespasses and for those things that people just think are trespasses. Because I didn't, you can do something that's not wrong. Like my little girl, when she wanted a puppy, and I said, no, you can't have a puppy. Well, that to her, that was the biggest sin in the world. I want a puppy, and you said no. And I know for like a year or two, she hated me, but I didn't wrong her. But I know for a year or two, she hated me, but I would forgive her for hating me, because she thinks I wronged her, and so
Yeah.
it's that thing as well. There's some people you don't wrong, you don't mean them any wrong, but for some reason, they just think you did.
Yeah.
And so I had to include those people. And then I had to include the fact that, there are people who I didn't wrong me, but I think they wronged me, but they didn't.
Do they wrong? Do they
Yeah.
wrong? Oh, I'm thinking of monkey stuff. I'm sorry. I think we need to wrap this up pretty soon here, because you know what? The reason I'm looking at my phone, I'm almost out of oil. I have an oil delivery coming, and I can't hear the guy if he knocks on my door with my headphones on. So I'm hoping he's going to call me.
That's why you need a dog.
Because it is so cold. Yeah, you're right. It is so cold. I'm thinking, if I don't get my oil delivery, God forbid, that pipes are going to freeze. It's the end of the world. My life is, and I don't want to freeze to death. Of all the ways to die.
Yeah,
I
have a question for you, Matt, because I think you sold about 400,000 worth of guitar worth of equipment in the past month. About 400, maybe $350,000 worth. What? No, I
If
didn't
the
take
IRS is listening, he's talking pennies, not dollars.
Oh, sorry. So why didn't you take like some of that money and put a Ring camera on your front door so that you can see in the office when somebody comes? You don't
got a
have to
ring
hear them.
got a Ring camera coming. It's been ordered already.
Oh, okay.
You know what? Because almost all these, there's two kinds of Ring cameras. One that you just kind of stick on by a magnet,
Right.
and one that you hardwire in. And I'm
Right.
like, I'm not gonna be good with the hardwiring in. I'm gonna fuck that up. I'm gonna electrocute myself. I'm gonna blow a fuse. I'm gonna do something. So the other kind, the kind you just stick on, which we had, the kids took it with them when they moved out. Well, but I'm always thinking, well,
Man, what the fuck is wrong with you? You don't let them do that.
I didn't
Now
know
you're gonna be looking. Now you're gonna be looking at their house. No,
I didn't know they were doing that. But the point is that I think bad guys could do that too. All right, if they got a Ring camera, I'll just take it and run with it, right? My wife said, "Well, you see them take it." Well, yeah, but what good
when they hardwire it, is it just hardwired for the electricity? Like, in other words, you replace the doorbell.
Yes, yeah, you got it. Yeah, you're wiring in a new doorbell with it, right?
Okay, I was just curious because, well, in that case, it's screwed in. It's not just magnet; it's kind of screwed in. So that it's by the time they go through the trouble of unscrewing it, you go like, "Excuse me, sir, you want to stop that? Because we have the police on the way."
Yeah, but my wife says because we just have the kind of just like magnets on. And I say they could just take that. She said, "Well, you'll see them taking it. What good does that do? It's like unless you know where to find them. I mean, they're not gonna keep it on the whole time, right? And like, oh, this is where my house is, whatever. So, yeah. But so I got to go.
So you get two Ring cameras. Once you can see them taking it.
One on the inside, looking out the window at the guy. That could be a good one. Whatever. Tomorrow, what do we got tomorrow? Meditation. I told her now, because this is somebody I'm going to be working with, trying to promote them. Told her that I would try to kind of steer the conversation all about her, and none of this like because I know Elizabeth wants to be part of it, and she said, "Why don't we do a group meditation in this I think we're gonna just put people to sleep. Then this is gonna be like let Jesus take the wheel moment, right? Can you do a live guided meditation?
Yeah, no.
Put
I
the people
would,
on the radio to sleep.
if anything, it's no, not that.
People on the
No,
radio are already sleeping, aren't they? Look at them. Uh,
I'm just
Generally,
trying to figure how the only way I would do that if it were like not part of the show live. It was like a Zoom thing, and then you could like put it out there as a separate entity, not part of the actual show.
yeah. So Michelle McDonald will be with us tomorrow, and we'll talk about meditation. And she's building an online meditation course. We talked about the 43 different modalities, or what is
42.
it? 43 techniques or
It was
styles.
yeah,
42.
yeah,
Why do I keep saying
42.
43? Why do I keep jumping one more? There's got to be one more. The Napo.
Well, I'm just saying that it could look big. I didn't make the list, and maybe one or two of them could be broken down to two styles, but there were 10 essentials and then 32 advanced.
Essential meditation.
But I think by essential, I think they mean by basic, because the other ones are a little bit more convoluted.
So we were talking about Chopra, and this is what she practiced. She actually studied from what's his face, Deepak Chopra.
Yeah,
she knew him and was certified by him in his method. And so the thing, what gives him the authority? Because he certified himself, right? He's just certifying other people.
I think
but they've become on that list as. How do you get the authority to get on that list to say that not my technique is one of the techniques on that list?
His technique is just somebody else's technique that he just rebranded. Like, if I'm sure you've noticed this by now. A lot of times we get these people with these techniques, and it's like, okay, you can go like, all right, that's the such and such and such. You just changed the word from chakra to light center, okay? Or you just changed the word aura to emotional space or something like that.
Yeah,
but it's the same thing.
Or energy field. That's what they call it. Yeah.
Right. And so, and even because sometimes we'll ask them that, and they're like, "Oh no, I got this on my own."
Yeah, the human energy field, HEF, and it's just another way of saying the aura. Okay, so there's really no
right.
Yeah,
the Kirlian field, whatever. So it doesn't. So quite often it's the same thing. Somebody just, and sometimes they want to repackage it by saying, no, but this came to me through divine intervention. It's like, okay, you fell asleep and you had a dream based on stuff that you had learned in the past. And then you got this other idea, I'm sorry. I don't buy it. It's, a lot of like this Deepak Chopra, but sometimes what you call something is what makes a person listen to it.
Yeah.
Because no, people don't like saying suicide. So now now a lot of people are saying unalive.
Yeah, well,
it doesn't change the end result.
I think it's the algorithms that make people saying it. It's not like they don't like the word. It's that sometimes you get
but I hear people saying it even in person. I mean, in conversation where there's
I would smack them. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't smack them. That's just violent.
But it's the same thing. I hear people like in conversation say unalived, and I'm like, it's the same result.
Dead is dead.
But they feel like they can talk about that, and they can't talk about suicide. They can talk about depression. Well, I'm trying to think. They can talk about being. I'm trying to think of some of the other words that people substitute for principles that we grew up with, but some people find it easier to talk about things like, instead of calling and saying, well, I can't talk about rape, but I'll talk about unconsensual sex.
Oh, I gotta take this call. I think it's my guy. You want to hang out for a minute?
Sure. I'll hang out for a minute. Let me take this opportunity. I don't know how to do that. I'm sorry. Let me take this opportunity to a friend of mine. Everybody knows who he is. John Palumbo. He has a book coming out, and I want to take this opportunity to plug the book, Swimming in the Cleveland Ocean. It's coming out soon in audiobook, in ebook, and in paperback. It's not out yet, but he sent me I got a text from his manager, Brian, and Brian says, let's get the buzz started. Let's start talking about the book, Swimming in the Cleveland Ocean. And so I'm gonna take this time to do it. I got an advanced copy. I read it. I also wrote the foreword, if it makes a difference to you. But you should never read a book or buy a book because of who wrote the foreword, because it's not a very long foreword. It's only 355 words. Not a very long one. So, but size doesn't matter, right? We all know it's okay. And also, if you're out there, look at this. I'm producing a show February 19th at the Stables called Funny Old Farts. And my friends, my friends Walter Gottlieb, David Yakeley, and Sandy Bernstein as the Beaver.
It's just me. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So,
keep talking. I can't hear you anyway.
So check that out. Even if you can't be in Westminster for the actual show, you can go ahead and stream it live on plausible.com for $5 per device. So, and you can support me that way and support us, because we're splitting all the revenue 4 ways. Even though I'm the headliner, I'm not taking most of the money. We're splitting it 4 ways because, let's face it, it's all 4 of us are contributing to the show. And so that's it. I'm just killing time because I can see Matt and I can hear Matt. Oh, no, I can't. He muted himself. Okay. I think he's talking to the oil guy. But, so how about them Yankees? No, I'm just teasing. Actually, I don't know when the Super Bowl is. I didn't look. I don't even know who's playing the Super Bowl, but I'm pretty sure that if let's do this. Let's have a Super Bowl watch party together. I don't know. I can't do that. I'm sorry, because the NFL the NFL are worse than ICE. They would beat me worse than ICE would. So we can't have a Super Bowl watch party. But we can have a watch party watching people watching the Super Bowl if we don't watch the Super Bowl. So let's do that. And let's do that on Super Bowl Sunday, whenever that is. And come on, Matt. I didn't prepare anything to talk about. Damn it, don't do this to me. Okay. Let's see here. I was producing a show. Oh, God. Last night was trivia night, and we sucked. Oh, man. 2 weeks ago, we had almost a perfect night. Each answer is worth up to 5 points, and we got so you have like a maximum of 60 points, and we got 59 points. That was 2 weeks ago, or a week ago last night. Last night, oh man, we got spanked. Oh, it was awful. It was just terrible. But and the worst part of it was that my chicken wings had too many veins in it. My wife and I both like the flats. And I know there's going to be some chicken wings left over. So I always eat the drum part, the drumettes. I eat them first. So if there's any left over and she wants some, she can have some that we can both have flats. But it was so veiny that I really wanted to just give the drumettes to the animals. So I'm running out of things. Matt, come back. Because you abandoned me, you little bastard. Let's see here. I don't want to lose anybody out there. So if there's something, put something in the chat room for me to talk about. Yes, subjects. Thank you. Yes, Sunshine. Put some subjects out there, because I don't know what to talk about. Because my instinct is to want to talk about myself, and I don't like doing that. Because some people think I'm a narcissist as it is, and I'm not a narcissist.
Yeah. All right. I gotta get my headphones on because.
Yes, get your headphones on.
But right and wrong. What did I miss? You did something fake.
No, I was just rambling because I'm fighting my nature
Could
to.
have talked about Frank's book here that it's over in the corner.
Well,
He said he
I
rambled
was
about
trying.
that.
Actually, I was taking the opportunity to talk about swimming the Cleveland Ocean, John Palumbo's book.
Oh, I have a friend who wrote the forward to that book.
Yeah, I heard a
Well, I
real
use the word friend lightly.
Yeah, and he was a real narcissistic bastard.
No, I've heard that about him too.
Yeah, and that's the problem I have, because I'm aware that some people think I'm a narcissist, and I don't really think I earned that title, but I understand why. I understand people who think that.
Why do you think people think that? I'm just curious. Like, well, what would make somebody think that or have that opinion?
Well, the first thing is that they don't really know what a narcissist is.
There's a lot of people using words they don't know what they
Right.
actually mean.
So that's the first thing. I think the people who don't know what a narcissist is.
So you're not a communist either?
I'm communist adjacent, but I'm not a communist. No.
Communist adjacent.
Yeah,
Meaning,
sure.
all right. Yeah. Well,
Like I'm not a capitalist, but because I'm not for unrestrained capitalism. I'm not for unrestrained communism. I'm not for unrestrained socialism.
right.
But I think there's a place for all of them in our society. But they can't run rampant.
You know what? I think I've expressed this before, but my take on this whole ism thing, capitalism, socialism, communism, the devil is consumerism. We are just, and I find myself thinking about this constantly. I don't need more stuff. I don't need another guitar. I don't need another knickknack. Consumerism. We need stuff. We need stuff. And all these isms, communism, socialism, capitalism, they all conserve the public good as long as there are guidelines and restrictions so that they don't get out of control and authoritarian. Capitalism with authoritarianism is as dangerous as communism with authoritarianism. It's not the economic thing, and all the evils of economics come down to consumerism. We're just not happy with food, shelter, and peace. That's what I want. Like, what I would trade everything I have for peace of mind.
Right.
That's my soapbox for you.
Yeah. I just wanted to respond to something to Heavy Kev. Heavy Kev wrote, "Grace Under Pressure, best album ever." I don't know that album. I was a Rush. I'm still a Rush fan. I just stopped listening to people's music for a while because I was writing my own, and as a result, because I was writing my own, I kind of lost interest in following other things. But I was a huge Rush fan. But the last Rush album that I remember paying attention to was Permanent Waves. I think that's the one that had, because I used to be able to play on guitar. I used to play like every song of theirs up through the album where they had YYZ on it. And that was the last Rush song I learned to play. Well, was YYZ.
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 Well, was that like supposed to be significant? It's not Roman numerals. What the hell is YYZ? What is that?
I don't know. I don't even know if they called it YYZ or if they called it Yiz. I have no idea. Or Y's. I don't know. I never got.
I start to your point about when you're doing something, you don't want to be overly influenced. I stop listening to the radio when I'm writing or trying to create new music and all that stuff. It's not like I'm not fans of other people's music. It's that I don't want to be overly influenced by it. So.
Yeah. Now, the reason why I get stuck when you left me and I didn't have anything planned to say, is because my instinct is to talk about the first things on my mind. But the first things on my mind are always the same thing, which means I'm just repeating myself, and I don't want to repeat myself. I want to talk about something different.
You should just go into why I'm a jerk for walking away on you. That's what you just repeat that.
I don't, but you had stuff to do. I don't think of it like that. I mean, I did jokingly call you a bastard because you abandoned me.
Oh,
but I said that with love. I mean, not like I really felt it.
That's fine. Listen, that's the mildest thing anybody's ever called me. To be honest with you, I've endured much worse.
Yeah.
So the reason I was panicking, and the guy's pumping my oil right now. You feel it?
Okay.
Uh, it's just like it's gonna be. What is it gonna be? It's not gonna get out of the teens here for like a week or something.
Yeah.
Those are the highs. It's just like I can't. Please no. That's all I say. So now I'm content that the heat's going to be on at least as long as the power stays on, because there's the chance power goes out, your oil burner goes out, and then you freeze to death. I don't want to freeze to death, even though they say that might be the best way to die.
The last few moments are the best way. Getting to those last few moments is not the best way.
Right? Yeah, and
Because you're
you're
miserable.
exactly right. So the euphoria that comes when your brain starts to freeze might be beautiful, but in order to get to that point, you have to suffer like crazy for days. I think sometimes it's awful.
Now, Sunshine, just for the record, I don't think Matt's rainy day fund includes him flying to Hawaii to avoid heat loss.
Is she? Do we know that Sunshine is in Hawaii? I mean, she's getting up that early to watch this stuff.
I think she's in. I don't know where she is. For some reason, I thought she was in Florida, but she used to be Hawaii. Like
she
was
says
like
aloha a lot.
Yeah. And also, so I think she was in Hawaii. I don't think that she's in Hawaii now. I keep forgetting. I forget where people are.
Yeah, I would go to Australia if I could pick up and leave and just start life. And maybe I'm making a deal with the government here. You want me out? You want people like me out of your country? Give me 250 grand, and I'll move to Australia tomorrow. That's what
You're a cheap date.
I know. Well, considering I'd be leaving behind a $700,000 house.
Well, you wouldn't. Yeah, and you'd be selling it for what?
No, I would leave my wife here with it.
Okay.
I'm not. She's not going to Hawaii. She's not.
Okay.
Or Australia or anything. She's staying here. I think we
the
established.
grandkids, right?
The grandkid has to die of old age.
Right. Yeah.
Before she will leave here.
Right.
So yeah. I don't know what. My concern about tomorrow. Obviously, not you. You're here every day. It's Ron Kane. I'm trying to have a intelligent and respectful conversation with a business person that I am helping with their business, and I don't need him talking about like men getting anal, giving anal, whatever he talks. You know what and I don't want to style. Yeah, I don't.
The default position.
When he's here, I like to have him talking, but if he always like you're talking, I don't want to just repeat myself.
And I'm very, very aware of that. And so I don't want to.
At least you're not talking about.
But that gets me stammered because I want to talk about something different. But unless I have something to bounce it off of, I don't. I don't have that. That's the only reason why. That's the difference between me and the Reverend. The Reverend doesn't necessarily need to see people to gauge how they're going to react, and so the Reverend is just content doing his thing.
Right.
I care about reactions somewhat, only in the sense that it helps guide me what direction I should keep going in.
Let me ask you this because it caused friction in the house last night. I had
like this.
Yeah. I had a very busy day, and my wife also had a very busy day. And then by the time like 8 or 9 o'clock came, I was detailing some of the things that I took care of. A lot of things, errands, errand boy. And then I said, "Oh, damn it! I forgot to shovel a path because the oil tank it's not off a sidewalk or anything. It's up a hill on the side of the house." And I said, I got to go out there and shovel a path of snow for the guy that was going to be pumping oil in the morning. And she said, "Did they ask you to do that?" I was like, "No, they didn't ask me to do that, but I think it's only right to do." She said, "No, they're used to that. They know where the house is. They know what's going to." I was like, "No, I got to go out there and shovel a path for the guy." And she was angry at me. Like,
no. I would have done the same thing you just said. I would have done the path as well.
Yeah. It just seemed weird to me that first of all, I said I don't want the guy up to his knees. She said, "Were you up to your knees?" No, it was up to my ankles, but it was still the
But
fact
I'm
that
taller than he is. No, no.
it doesn't matter. You don't want the guy's job is hard enough, right? Or the guy's
Yeah.
a working man. You want to make it easy for him. But for some reason, I'm risking a heart attack now. She's angry at me. Like I didn't die of a heart attack, did I? I might have. Am I dead? Can you?
I hope not, because
Can
I
you
would hate to think this is how my eternity goes.
no, it wouldn't be yours. It would be whatever.
Well, I'm
So,
here with you. So
oh,
if you're dead, I'm stuck here too.
I could be dead. But so I don't. She's not talking to me now because I went out there and shoveled the path for a guy trying to be a decent human being, like just
Look,
giving a shit about people.
when now this snow is a little different because of the ice, but when it's regular snow, I shovel a path for the cats so they can get to the cat house and to
Oh, I
the
have that.
stairs.
I have that. Yeah, we
And
did. I
yeah,
did that the other day.
no, but yeah, like yesterday, as a matter of fact, I got to take a look at yesterday. I had the snow thrower, or I had the snow thrower day before yesterday, and I was using it day before yesterday, and I put it away, but it's so cold out that it's still like 12 degrees, 18 degrees, and so a chunk of ice froze in the blade, and I didn't realize it because that's never happened before. I've never had anything freeze in there before, so. I went to start it. It started up. I started driving it, and I went to turn the blades on, and it shut down. And I was like, "Fuck, something's stuck in the blade." So I get the thing out, and I start poking at the ice, and I think it's clear enough that the blade will take it. And I start it, and starts driving. I turn the blades on, and it stops again. And I went, "Fuck!" So I tilted backwards, like a 45-degree angle, so I can make sure this time I get the ice out of there. And then I go to start it, and it's not doing anything. It won't start at all. So something happened between me tilting it back 45 degrees for about 30 seconds or so. And the only thing I can think is that maybe the gas drained away from the engine or something. And so I tried to prime it, and nothing has happened. But it's not even trying to turn over. If it was a gas thing, it would try to turn over, and you just wouldn't have any gas like before, like if the carburetor is clogged. So now I'm trying to think, what the fuck did I do? That I tilted it back, just tilting it back and putting it forward. It's not. So now I got to work on that.
So we are. It's oil, by the way, Sunshine. It's home heating oil. We're on a contract, but when it gets low and they haven't been here, I start to panic. And when I call them, they say, "Well, you can put 5 gallons of diesel in there just to be sure, so you don't run out." And so I did that last night. And
When do you have diesel around, or did you go out and buy diesel?
I had to go out and buy 5 gallons of diesel. But here's the thing that I found out: the diesel is much cheaper, like 60 cents a gallon cheaper than I'm paying for the home heating oil. And I said, why don't I just go keep getting 5-gallon cans all night long and just put that in? Because if it's a 300-gallon tank, that means you're going to save $120, right?
Yeah, but how much are you paying in
more
gas
than
driving
$180.
But how much are you using in gas driving back and forth with now?
Like,
And if you had multiple 5-gallon cans, it would be fewer trips.
I could bring 3 or 4 5-gallon cans, but the gas station is as close. It's the only thing that's close here, so it's not a big deal. But she said that even though they tell you could put 5 gallons of diesel in it, that's not good for your oil burner. Like,
My next thing I was going to say, what's the long-term effects? That would be like saying you broke your leg. We can't X-ray it and set your bone, but what would help if you had 2 sticks and some duct tape, and that way you can hobble along until we can fix it.
Well, and they could have gave me bad information, but when they told me you could put 5 gallons of diesel in there, I said, really? She said, oh yeah, it's the same thing. My wife said, no, you get really pure oil from when they deliver versus diesel, sort of the same, and it'll work, but it's not the same. Like, well, then they're lying to me over the phone. Like, well, so. Anyway, I think I could.
That way, once it gets gummed up, you'll call them and go, "It's not working." Like, oh, okay, we'll be right out to fix it. Hey, you had a lot of diesel in here. Who told you to do that? This is all messed up. We're gonna have to get you a whole new oil tank.
You told me to do that.
Oh, not me. You must have been talking to the receptionist. We fired her because she kept telling people that.
Yeah. So hopefully I'll stay warm during the weekend. So will you. But you're not going to get this big storm. Now they've taken a couple of the options off the table. Remember yesterday I was talking about the options of it missing us. They've taken that off the table. No, it's going to hit you. It's just a matter of how bad it's going to hit you now. Then I'll get in an argument with my wife over this has never happened before. Yeah. We've known, because she was talking about people who've been out of power for since last week.
Right.
And during Hurricane Sandy, we were without power for 2 weeks. Remember, oil. Well, it wasn't cold then. It was November. It wasn't this cold, but it was cold.
Yeah.
Oh, Sandy, when was that? 2012 or something, 2013. It wasn't that long ago that you should.
How soon we forget?
Yeah. How soon we forget. All right. So tomorrow we'll be meditating. Okay, let's do it now. You're not doing it with me? I don't think that's how you do it.
Hello, Ann, California. I missed it. I didn't see Ann.
What's going on with Tony? Is Tony doing a show? He's doing a show now, right?
I think Tony's doing a show. I saw a blurb for it.
A blurby. All right. Well, I should talk about who's at Gov, shouldn't I? I mean, since we're on their network, once in a while I should mention. Not today, but maybe tomorrow. I'll kind of go through the.
I'd wait till next week. It's better to start fresh with a new week.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, there's nobody there this weekend anyway because of the snow. They'll probably wind up canceling anyway.
For the kids.
Yeah. So why get people all excited about something that may not happen?
Good point.
Unless they have a special permit that allows them to avoid the weather. Although when I was up there in last January, was it last January or 2 Januaries ago?
It was last January.
Last January. It was cold as a witch's tit. It was cold. It was pretty fucking cold. And I was sitting in my car waiting for.
You were sitting at the front door when I pulled up. I was like, what are these guys doing sitting at the front door in the cold?
Yeah, because that's where I was. I didn't know there was a back door.
Yeah, back door. That's where all the comedians use the back door. Whatever.
One of my favorite things about the gay community. I was seeing this woman.
Backdoor them.
When I was back in the day, I was seeing this woman, and she loved to go to gay bars. There's one gay bar for the music. It's called the Pink Hippo in Baltimore. And the first time I went to the Pink Hippo, I go to the front door where we're going to pay to get in, and there's a sign on the front door of the Pink Hippo that says "All deliveries in the rear," and I just thought that was so hilarious that a gay bar would have that sign on their front door.
What does it say?
All deliveries must go into the all deliveries must go in the rear.
Yeah, we have an old nightclub here that was next to BJ's Wholesale,
mm-hmm.
And it said parking for BJ's in the rear. I see a lot of guys back there with their 50 out or whatever, or at least a 20, right? I'm ready. Whatever.
But when my friend Doug and I we were in Alaska or Canada. I think it was Alaska, and we were on this cruise. We spent this is maybe the 4th or 5th day we're out there, and we realized that we don't have any pictures of us together on this cruise that we took together. There's no pictures of us together. There are pictures of me, there's pictures of him, there's pictures of things that are happening, but no pictures of the two of us. And so we decided to say, let's take a selfie. And we were looking for some place to take a selfie. So let's take it over there. And so we walk across the street and we get in front of this thing. And then we got the camera out and we realized a sign behind us says, bear crossing, or watch out for bears or something like that. It's like, okay, and I looked at Doug and said, Doug, we can't take this picture here.
No otters?
He goes, yeah, no otters. He goes, why not? I said, the sign. He goes, and he looked at the sign. He doesn't get it. He's like, I don't understand. It just says like, watch out for bears. Right. I said, don't you know what a bear is? Then I explained to him about
Good
bears.
for him for not knowing, right?
Yeah,
That's
no idea.
good for him. He's ignorance is bliss, and that means he's a good guy, not, or it means he's straight.
Well, I didn't say he was a good guy. We're friends.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm shot, man. So let's wrap this thing up. Tomorrow we'll be meditating and all that kind of stuff. And Frank, you know what? Go buy Frank's book, one of the 3 books, or buy all 3 books. But most importantly, call your library. And you know what? If you're in the wherever you are, I don't know where Frank is because he's not in Chicago anymore, right? I was going to say have him come to your school and do a talk to the school. This book should be in the schools. Did you know that story about Gregory Peck standing up to play Atticus Finch?
Kinda, yeah. I mean, I don't know the details anymore. It's back in my head.
They wanted to really whitewash it because they were afraid that times it wouldn't play right. And he said, "No, we either stay completely loyal to the book or I'm out." And he was a big enough star that at that point that they let him do it his way. It was a pretty brave thing to do, though, at the time. So, but To Kill a Mockingbird was required reading when I was in school, when you were in school.
Yeah.
Frank's books should probably be along that same line. You know what? Kids need to read about. And getting back into the politics thing, they want to just they want to say what history can be. They want to really whitewash history in Stephen Miller's likeness, right? It's so, and what kids can read, what books are allowed, what things people will say. The whole people who were like complaining about cancel culture and don't tread on me are now on the side of tread on me and let's cancel everything.
I don't understand this. Now, this is the one thing that I really have trouble with. Stephen Miller, people like Stephen Miller, Tom Holman, they have like a lot of venom, a lot of anger toward minorities. I mean, a lot. I mean, way more than today's society suggests is actually, I mean, it's just too much information out there for them to believe this shit. It's just, you know what I'm saying? The evidence is in. It's not minorities just doing this. It's like, it just doesn't make sense. So who touched them? Who hurt them so badly that they have to carry this hatred and venom around like this? And that's a lot of effort. It takes a lot of fucking energy to carry that much hate around.
What are you saying, Stephen Miller Ortiz? Is our little Stevie a Nazi? It could be. Yeah, I know he comes from his father was a KKK guy.
So it's in his blood.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to wrap this up. I have to go. I'm not myself when I don't have a Snickers bar, and it's not a Snickers bar that I'm really talking about. You know that, right?
Yeah, it's a gummy or edible or
no, it's a nap. I really need a 20-minute cat nap. I'm pathetically old. Yeah, I'm thinking about I should put myself in a nursing home. I was thought about this. Tell my wife, why don't you put me in a nursing home? You just collect my Social Security, take care of you, and I'll be in there. I could do the show every day from my nursing home with a roommate. Shut up! One of those kind of things. That would be good for me, right?
I can't answer that because wouldn't it depend on your roommate?
Shut up!
Yeah. What if your roommate is this guy? I don't love you. I'm going home. You don't love me. I'm going home. You don't love me. I don't love you. I'm going home.
You don't love me. I love you. Morty Seinfeld.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not going to entertain him. Sorry, Sunshine. That's not me. Right. I'm not that kind of entertainer. I don't do sympathy. I don't do
yeah. All right, so it's time to wrap things up. Don't forget to join us tomorrow. We appreciate you joining. Check out last night's show with the Manson stuff because that very compelling stuff. Some of the conspiracy theories that I'm not sure you're aware of. That Tom O'Neill had written a book about Manson being recruited by the CIA and was like a tool of the CIA at the time. And I asked Alan about that, and he's not a big conspiracy guy. He's like, nah, I love Tom. Just doesn't make any sense. The other part of there was a conspiracy theory about the Son of Sam cult having ties back to Manson, like they had the same handlers and all that stuff. He's like, I need more than just people's vibes, and like, oh, what if they knew the same people? And a lot of these conspiracy theories grow out of that kind of stuff. Like, oh, look, there's a tiny thread here of a connection. This guy knew this guy, and this guy knew this guy, so they must be connected somehow.
Yeah, it's like they're doing the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Yeah,
with Manson.
Yeah.
And just because there's a connect, look, I can do. They say you can do 6 degrees of connection with almost anybody,
right?
And
with Manson and David Berkowitz or Son of Sam, or
yeah, and it doesn't mean you know those people or that there's a connection or there's a correlation. Just
yeah. So I got work to do. Thank you for coming today, and don't forget to turn on your radio.
Don't forget to go see Funny Old Farts and order it on live from plausible.com.
Is that on the radio?
Turn the radio and walk around nappy.
me, listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now.